Hey, so I'm about to get real in this video, and this could be a real long video. Um, I'm going to get into a lot of stuff about Square Enix, Final Fantasy games, my life, and my personality. So buckle up. Hopefully, it's entertaining to some degree. I'm not really going to be trying to be entertaining. Um, but I'm more so trying to just explain how I feel, and ultimately the dangers of these games and Square Enix games in particular. Um, this is something that does not come easy to me, and I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with. Um, but yeah, like I said, just buckle up. Um, eh, just as a forewarning, I apologize for the quality of the video. My PC's a piece of shit. It's just a laptop. It's pretty old. Honestly, it's weird. The video quality looks like shit. Like it's pretty good, but it's also has like this weird, almost ironically like this video game like quality. You know. Um, and then the audio, I am just using like an old ass Apple headset. And when I lean back and move around, it might bump into my shirt. I might bump into it or get too close to it or whatever. So the audio might get a little weird as well. So I apologize for that. But let's get that all out of the side. And let's talk. What am I here to talk about? So Square Enix, I mean, you might just think of them as just a normal game company. Sorry, I digress. Let me backtrack again and just let me say I apologize if I come off sounding very um, monotone, you know, just boring or bored or emotional. Like I said, this is not an easy video for me to make because I kind of have to, like, I feel like I have to admit things about myself that do not come easy. Um, so yeah, here we go. But Square Enix, you think of them just as an average game company. They make games. They're fun. Whatever, people like them. They could do no harm, right? Well, wrong. And you might just think, well, oh, well, they're every other gaming company has these shady practices. So who are Square Enix to not use a couple here and there? Yeah, you're right. I don't blame them there either. Um, but like the more that I sit here and think about the nature of these games and how I've spent my life invested in them and playing them and consuming them, and what they meant to me, the more I think that maybe there is some deeper insidious plot, or at least like maybe there is a line that was drawn somewhere that has been crossed, because I don't think Square Enix ultimately cares about the consumers. I don't think they care about our personal health, our physical health, our mental health, our financial health. They don't care. All they care about is their bottom line. And the ironic thing is they seem to only just barely meet their bottom line because they make a lot of really fucking stupid choices. I apologize if you don't like cursing. I might do that a lot too. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. Again, I apologize. It's just my nature, it's my personality, and maybe we'll get into that as well, or you'll learn something about that through this entire thing. But again, I apologize for it if you do not like that sort of thing. Um, you probably don't want to listen to this video near your kids. Um, but yeah, anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, they. I just don't think they care about our health, and this is coming from somebody with a lot of personal experience with this, and I will get into that. I'm 39. I'm turning 40 this coming month in October. I've been playing Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy 1. Now, back then, it was a lot more innocent. It was just a video game, and I think that, I think that back then, that the nature of a lot of gaming companies was a lot more innocent. They were just trying to get their image out there, trying to make a name for themselves. They were making really fun, really engaging games for people, and that was basically it. And then obviously a switch flipped somewhere where it all became about profits and the psychology and getting people addicted and the icebreaker and the money and blah blah blah, whale hunting. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But back then, it was a lot more innocent. It was about playing the game. It was about having fun. And for me, I really sucked at Final Fantasy 1. I could not get anywhere farther than the cave with the asps because I would get poisoned and I did not understand that, like, think how to deal with poison. Yeah, I was a kid. I was not knowledgeable. I did not understand the game mechanics and how to deal with that type of thing yet. I was still learning. I was developing as a human, let alone as a gamer. So I just didn't know, and I would get to the cave with the asps, and I would get poisoned, and I would keep walking around, and I would lose all my. You'd go down to 1 HP. The poison lasted infinitely. That's another crazy thing. Kids got it easy these days. Nowadays in RPGs, once the fight's over, the status effects generally just wear off, or they wear off in time. Back in my day, youngins, you understand? The poison was infinite. You left battle, you kept walking around, you had to keep dealing with this flashing screen. It's a constant reminder that you were dying. And I would get down to 1 HP, and I could just never get through this cave. I couldn't figure it out. I did not know that you had to stock up on antidotes. I didn't even know what antidotes were or what they did. And that's the thing. As time went on, because I did really enjoy these games, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, etc., diving into the games, the story, learning more. And it was like playing a book. I really liked books back then when I was a kid. Back in those days, we didn't have a lot more than books and stuff like that. Visual entertainment was a lot was way newer. Like TV was black and white and very shitty, very primitive before that. Video gaming, color TV, this more advanced stuff was newer. Like VHS was big. These were crazy times, man. Things were way different than they are now. Um, but yeah, as time went on, and I started to learn more through these games, you know, that was a big thing for me. Wasn't even just about like it was like playing a book, playing a TV show, getting to experience it through interaction and having the fun of grinding up and developing my characters and just getting stronger, the power fantasy, getting stronger, um and interacting with this storyline. Great music, by the way. They've always had great music whole time. But it was about learning. I learned vocabulary through reading these stories. I learned, well, yeah, just simple vocabulary. I learned the meaning of a lot of words. I learned the function of items, not even in the game, but their functionality and use in terminology in real life. So I eventually learned what antidotes did and how to deal with poison, how to deal with status effects, and what all these various words and statuses meant, and you know the dangers and implications that they had in real life, and Greek mythology and you know Roman and Norse and all the mythologies that they use throughout Final Fantasies. Uh, I, I was always very engaged in the stories, the knowledge that I was gaining from them, and the amazing music. And you're probably wondering, well, this is all a lot of good. How could you sit there and say that Square Enix doesn't care about their fans or the mental health or development or the well-being and all, you know, yada yada? How can you sit there and say that they don't care, that they're like this evil corporation, when you've gotten all that good and positivity out of their games in your life? Well, I mean that's how they used to be. I mean that's how it used to be, and I don't know. I'm not a kid anymore, so I don't know what it's like now with them interacting with Square Enix games now, as a child, but I can tell you what it's like as an adult and what I see now with the current trend of games and gaming now, and what Square Enix has been doing to me all the years after that point. Because now let me get into the bad nature of why these games, and before I do that, I'm going to be talking probably for another hour. If you want to listen on times two or just listen in the background, I appreciate it. This could get long. I might need to stop here and there to blow my nose. I don't really edit, so I'm just going to take a second, mute myself, and blow my nose because I'm gonna get a little emotional talking about some of this stuff as well. So I get a little messed up. I got allergies, blah blah blah. Excuses. Shut up, Skibbs. Just blow your fucking nose and get on with the story. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting on with it. You're right. So let's take a little sip as well so I can get through this. All right. Well, as time went on, I found myself, you know, I got a little bit of an addictive personality. I found myself, you know, and I think this is the part that's tough about this for me, admitting this, that there is some level of addiction there as well, because as I said, you know, that grind, the long grinds, that power fantasy, developing your characters, all the different characters, all the different games. There's a lot of time that you invested it, and then there's playing the games multiple times. I found myself, even as a kid, when I look back at it, foregoing sleep a lot to play these games. And you know, now there's other. I think not completely. I think I still got plenty of sleep, but probably not as much as I should have, considering other factors that I had making my health not as good as it could be, you know? And that's an important thing. It's like knowing your limits in life, and working around your limits, personal limitations, and not pushing things too far. You know, always getting enough sleep, not engaging with things that could be problematic for you, or bring out certain emotions or feelings or addictions, and all that sort of thing, whatever. Um, But yeah, they're definitely the addictive nature where it's like I always wanted to be playing these games. When I wasn't playing the games, I was talking about the games with people at school. I was thinking about them. I constantly wanted to be playing the games. So when I was at work, at school, it doesn't matter. In the daytime, in the nighttime, all times, every time, everywhere, just wanting to be engaged in these games, grinding these games, playing these games. And this is something that has not changed. For me, and for a lot of people, I see this in other people as well. I know this is not just a me thing. And again, like maybe you're a little bit stronger willed. You've got a better life. You've got more money, more expendable income. You've just had better opportunities. You have better health, and you know, and maybe it's not as detrimental to you. There's a lot of people out there. Some people have it worse than me. Some people have it better than me. So you know, this can be impact a lot of different people in different ways. So I can only speak for myself, but I could also respect the fact that this isn't going to be as bad for some people, and it might be a lot worse for others. So moving on throughout life, you know, I found myself maybe foregoing, you know, a couple hours of sleep here and there every night to try to play these games, maybe not focusing on my schoolwork or whatever I should have been, my actual work in actual jobs. You know, constantly thinking about these games, playing these games, and I'm off the clock instead of thinking about my future, thinking about you know, my life, think about just learning, you know, real life stuff that I should be learning, and I want to give myself a little bit of credit here to say that I don't think it's entirely my fault because it's not like they teach you the right things in school, at least here in America either. They don't teach you to prepare for the future necessarily. They teach you a lot about the past, and bullshit. And they make you do stupid calculations that they didn't want you to use calculators for now back then, which like nowadays it's like, let's be real, everybody's using calculators, everybody's doing things the easy way now. And why should you continue to do things the hard way? Like, you need to adapt efficient methods and technology to do some of the harder stuff, and just streamline life and teach people the more important things. um, but yeah, so I want to give myself a little bit of credit here and say it's not entirely my fault that I didn't focus on some of the right things, but I didn't know. I mean, I don't really talk to my father. I never have. I probably never will. I didn't have a you know, a role model in that regard. I wasn't learning in school. Um, so I just, it's unfortunate, you know, and I can't erase that. I can't go back and redo it. If I could, I would, you know, kind of a thing. I definitely would. Um, but here we are. So I would, you know, I would go to work. Back then, things were different. You know, there wasn't mobile devices, smartphones weren't really a thing. I would, I had my PlayStation 1 portable that I would take to work with me to play on my breaks, or, you know, when I wasn't actively working. There was Game Boy SP, especially was my favorite one. That little flip open square one. Was that the Game Boy Advance SP? I think that was the best portable device that ever existed. It probably still is. Um, yeah, they just don't make things like they used to. I think that thing probably still holds up today. It was small, the cards are small, whatever. But yeah, you could probably notice some of the addiction in me talking about it and thinking about this stuff and the nostalgia. It's just like bringing me back. Yeah, but I would take these things everywhere with me. I would play them, and to say that it didn't affect my education, that it didn't affect my sleep, that it didn't affect my personal life, my social life, that would be a massive mistake. Like, let's be honest. I need to be honest with myself, and I think that some other people might need to be honest with themselves when they think back about like all the stuff that they probably put themselves through for these games throughout the years. Like it may be a problem for you too, um, or it's not. Whatever. This isn't about that. This is about the overall issue here with these games. But this, so yeah, that this was before the games even had like we're on smartphones, before there was microtransactions, before there was shops and all that stuff. So again, I feel like back then the nature of it was still a lot more innocent. But moving forward with uh, the onset of microtransactions and online live service gaming and mobile games, Gacha games especially, Square Enix is one of the biggest offenders out there. And they're absolutely not innocent. And they absolutely impact people's lives for the worst. It is unhealthy, and let's get further into it. As time went on and I got a smartphone, I absolutely dove into Square Enix mobile gacha games. I didn't really understand what I was getting myself into back then, um, but I jumped into it and it wasn't good. It was very unhealthy, and this is something that I never really I don't like. I probably have talked about, but never really talked about in this way. So one of the first games of theirs that I played on mobile was a game called the Final Fantasy Airborne Brigade. This game was extremely pay to win. It was very egregious. Very egregious. It would pit one brigade against another to fight a boss, and the brigade that did more damage got the bulk of the rewards. And it essentially would always pit a pay to win guild against a non paying guild. It just pretty much made you feel bad, and it baited you into trying to spend um way outside of your means, especially if you're somebody that has that addictive personality and, you know, just is weak to that sort of thing. And I'm somebody that fell into that category. With that game, especially, I got baited in. I spent probably a few $100s, and that was the first game. It's crazy that it was one of my first games and experiences with this type of thing, and that game had an end of service date. That game no longer exists, so all the money that I spent on that game went to waste, and that was a wake up call for me. It was like, well, wow, I spent hundreds of dollars on this game in a span of months, and it's gone. It's shut down. It's gone. I can never get it back. I lost sleep over it. I got emotional over it because of the nature of like getting beat by these whales and having people spend an enormous amounts of money seemingly. That's the thing. You never know with some of these games. Sometimes they're spending stolen credit. They're using hacks. So you never know. Like they're buying third party stuff. They're doing massive chargebacks. You never know. That's the crazy part. You never know what you're spending against. So you just get baited into coming way outside of your means, and it feels bad and it's unhealthy, and I honestly don't think this stuff should be legal. There needs to be regulations for this stuff. But I'll get more into that later because, in all honesty, I think that I do eventually want to show this video to a lawyer. I don't know if there's a case here somewhere, anywhere. I know a lot of companies are getting sued for some of their practices, and I hate I hate to do it to Square Enix, but like if again, this is tough, but I feel like my life could have been better. Sure, I learned a lot from them in the early years, but I think my life could have been better if I did not spend all the time and the energy and the money that I did playing their games. And instead, investing the time and money into more meaningful things. Fuck. Anyway, hold on. Anyway, yeah. So I put a lot of time, energy, I lost a lot of sleep, I lost a lot of money because that game, it is a wake up call. I need to learn the terms of service. I need to learn what these games are about. I need to learn more. And that did not stop me from spending in future games. I mean, not all of these games do an end of service. Another game that I ended up spending about $1,000 in, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, is still alive to this day. I don't play it. My account is still intact, which is great. I could play it if I wanted to. It's just a chore and it's not worth it. But again, and that was another wake up call in its own way. Um, I had to learn the terms of service and learn that like your account, what you're spending your money on, like you don't own it. You're just borrowing it. You're just renting it. Your time is limited. When they choose to turn that game off, it's gone. A lot of people don't know this about these games either. I've interacted with people on some of these games that are new that they're like, "Oh wow, I really wish I didn't spend the thousands of dollars that I spent on this game." Oh well, it's, lesson learned. I'll just move on from this. You could refund, by the way, charge back. Some people do it. Some people are just like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this as a life lesson and move on. And good for them. I can't say I haven't learned lessons. I just wish I was better at moving on from them. Um, but yeah. So you don't own what you're spending your money on. You're borrowing it. You're renting it. When they choose to take it away from you, they can. It's important to know that. Um, and again, even if they don't shut down the service, over the span of years, $20 here, there, 40, 50, you might not really think about it um in the short term because you're having a lot of fun and the entertainment values there. And if you have the money, the expendable income, I'm not like, this isn't like trying to take anything away from you or make you feel bad. Um just understand that there's like a lot of people out there that they have these problems in their head that they're unable to stop themselves. And $20 here and there isn't a problem for them in the short term. But something might happen, and then it's like, wow, $1,000 on this FFBE. I really could have used this. I barely have $1,000 to my name. And this might come to as a surprise to some of you because like you see somebody on YouTube. I know a lot of you out there think like, oh, this person makes YouTube videos or makes content. Like they're probably loaded. They're fucking rich. Again, I apologize for my language. I'm not. $1,000 would essentially double up my available funds right now. Um, so that's crazy to think about, right? Like that's how bad things are right now for me. Which is, yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm not asking for anybody for help. I'm working. I'm gonna get myself out of this. Um, so this isn't about that. This isn't about a pity party or anything like that. It's just about learning. It's about understanding. Me is about human nature, not just me. Other people, what other people might be dealing with these games. So it's just a lot of money, and I learned that about myself. That when I look back, it's like before Gacha games, it wasn't spending thousands of dollars on a game. It was consoles. It was devices. Buying these devices every year just for like exclusive games, and I think that's why like I'm having this wake up call and why I'm so adamant. Some people, if you've been watching me, if you've been listening to me, you might understand and been noticed these signs popping up, complaining about Square Enix and console exclusives, and this anti-consumerist behavior, this mentality. They want you to buy this $500, $400, whatever. People, oh, it only costs this much now. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Some people paid $1,000 for it because they couldn't get one. It doesn't matter the cost. To have to buy this overpriced console for a fucking game that they could just make for multiple devices, but this is a choice that they made because Sony is paying them for it. Why does that matter to us? Why are we spending $600 on a console because they don't have faith in their product, that they don't have faith in us, that they don't care about us, that they put the game out on these unlimited devices, so we buy that device and it's not good. Just because you got the money and you can afford it, wouldn't you prefer to save the money? Come on. Like, just because you can spend more doesn't mean you want to spend more, right? Like, you'd rather the game just come out on the device you already have and buy it there and play it there. And, like, this stuff has to stop. And this is why I said, like, I don't know. When I look back and I think about all the money that I've spent, all the sleep that I've wasted, the impact that it's had on my life, the jobs that I've lost because of the sleep that I lost, because of the way that my health the turns that my health took. Like, my health is not good from the start. For me to put it in jeopardy for stupid games, it's like, no, it's not an option. And I've been making great strides in changing my health and fixing my health and improving it. And you know what? And it's just like I find myself getting emotional and getting upset and losing sleep over this Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis game. Yeah, like, yet again, I'm finding myself in this position where I'm losing sleep, and you're probably wondering, well, like, why don't I just stop? Why don't I just not play it? Why don't I just turn it away, not play it? You understand? Like, that is the problem. That is the problem. I have a problem. It's a new game. Everybody's excited. Everybody's talking about it. I want to experience it too. And I only have the time for 4 hours a day. When I go to work, I leave it behind. I don't play it at work. And that's the thing. I limit myself. I've been trying to engage in a healthy behavior, or a healthy way. I only play 4 hours a day, and it's not enough time to even play. That's the thing. That's why I've been complaining. Like, they're making this game for people that are like essentially that can make a career out of playing it. As somebody that only have 4 hours a day, I don't have enough time in the day to play it, and now I can't even play it because I linked my account through the Square Enix members thing. This is the worst part of all of this. I linked my account to preserve my account, the integrity of my account, to make sure that no matter what device I'm on, no matter where I try to play it, on a phone, on a computer, on Steam, no matter what, no matter where they produce the game or present the game, that I have my account integrity locked and stored and safe, and I can log in on any of the devices. And that choice to link my account to Square Enix members, what you would think would be the most safe, most secure, most, to have the most integrity attached to it, that choice bit me in the ass. I can't log into my account on any device, anywhere, for 3 days now. I actually had off for 2 days. It would have been great to catch up in these last 2 days, but instead, I'm not even, and this is another crazy part. I'm losing sleep. I have off. I can't play, but I'm still losing sleep over this shit. And you're probably wondering why. Skips, what are you doing? Why? Well, just sleep. Because I don't know. They're not updating us. They're not telling us anything. People are been locked out of their accounts, not just free players, paid players. People that spent money on this game have been locked out of their accounts for 3 days almost, with no update, no information on when they're going to be able to get back in. So I'm constantly checking, constantly trying in case I can mitigate my losses in game. Maybe I'll be able to get in the game before this reset. Maybe I'll be able to get in the game before this is lost and collect it. So I'm constantly checking. I'm constantly engaging in the Twitter, checking the game, checking anywhere, any resource, checking my email, checking streams, trying to see if I can find any information. Hold on. Again, sorry for all that. I really wish I knew how to edit shit. If you've ever looked at editing software, holy. I think once upon a time I might have had the brain power to do that, but I'm getting old. Getting old, and I've been wasting way too much brain power on dumb shit like this. But you understand what the problem is there? It's like I'm yeah. I've been called psycho, I've been called crazy, I've been called mentally ill. I've been told that I need to stop playing these games, and I'm going to give you all the benefit of the doubt and say you're right. I think some of you are kind of assholes for the way you approach saying some of those things, a little bit insensitive. Because you're not wrong, but you're also not right. Like, I'm not that crazy because I'm aware of the problem and I've been trying to fix it. But I don't think that this is right. I don't think this is healthy for companies to be doing. I think there needs to be laws against this. And if there's any lawyers out there that catch wind of this video, or maybe I will send it to some lawyers to see what they have to say about everything they hear. Maybe there's a case somewhere. If not for me, for everybody, some class action shit. I think this type of stuff needs to stop. Square Enix, especially, like, they're just barely getting by. They should not be engaging in this type of behavior where that, like, companies like Epic Games are getting sued for hundreds of millions of dollars. Companies are getting sued and losing massive amounts of money for this same type of practices. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what's worse. Like, I don't know the specifics. So again, if there's any lawyers out there, if anybody can send this to any lawyers, if anybody has like a similar problem with Square Enix games and they've been talking to any lawyers, any of this stuff, pass it on by all means. If you've got similar problems with this type of stuff, talk about it. Get out there, make it public. Like, let's get the ball rolling on on some regulations on these games or something. Like, the government's got to step in. Something's got to change. I don't know. Again, I'm aware, and I've been trying to make changes in myself and to be able to not care about this type of stuff. But it's 40 years. 40 years I've been devoted to Square Enix games, Final Fantasy. It's tough to pull myself away from something that I've been attached to for so long. And that's what they're using against us. The nostalgia with all these games, especially these gachas. And this shit should not be legal. They need to figure out a way that they can do this stuff in a more healthy fashion. Give players more time to play the game, like more time to collect rewards, to not miss stuff. Less egregious reset timers and less strict, just this less strict systems where, you know, you have to log in at certain times to do these certain things. There's a way to mitigate losses if you're unable to log in, or have things set to automatically farm at certain times when your energy is going to be full or something. I don't know. It just, they gotta consider that people work, that people sleep, that people need to have access to their accounts. 3 days with not an update about having access to your account that you potentially spent money on. This is really messed up. What's going on here? It's getting really dark, and the video is getting long. I feel like I left stuff out, and I'll think of stuff later and have more to talk about this. But again, maybe I'll just consider sending this video to a lawyer and talking to a lawyer about it and see if I have a case against Square Enix for just all the shit that they've put me through in my life. It and it's not like and if I get anything out of this, I don't give a shit about money. I don't care about a reputation or fame or anything. What I want is games to be good again, and I don't want the games to make other people feel like this. I want other people to be safe from practices like this. So, in the least, anybody that watched this far, thank you for watching this far. I hope some people learned something from this. If you are the type of person that is weak to this type of shit, be very careful with these games. Play them for free. And if you feel like they're starting to impact your work life, your social life, your relationships, delete them. Stop playing them. The game is not worth losing a relationship, losing your job, or being poor for the rest of your life because of. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. I would have really appreciated if people subscribed and share this as much as possible because yeah, I really want people to learn from my mistakes. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for my negativity towards Square Enix because I know a lot of people think that they could do no wrong and they might see this stuff and as just just because you have a problem doesn't mean that blah 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 whatever. I no, this it's not even just a Square Enix thing. This is a gaming industry wide problem, but Square Enix is not innocent. Yeah, it is really getting too dark. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share this around, post it wherever, show it to your lawyers, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. If you're somebody that similarly thinks that this is a problem and you've got a problem and your life was negatively impacted about and you seriously consider something like this, yeah, definitely share it with a lawyer, whatever. Share it with anybody, everybody. Share it with your grandma, with your kids. Not your kids. I curse way too much. Don't show this fucking video to your kids. I'm sorry. That was a bad suggestion. I take that last one back. See you later.